we on?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a continuation of the videos we've been doing on rocket mass heaters. So we wanted people to see what it's looking like 3 weeks later. And it isn't 100% finished. These barrels don't look really pretty at this point. So we have some things we'll be able to do to help them look better. And it is big. It's taking up quite a bit of space in my tiny house, because this is a tiny house. But the economics of it are what excites me. So, as well as the benefits environmentally, that I'm not putting pollution in the air when I'm firing up a wood stove. So why did I even get started on this? I learned about it at a conference probably at least 8 or 10 years ago. It was a good night. It could have been 12 years ago. I saw it. I saw Chris McClellan. He's Uncle Mud. He was actually doing one. I think it was at a Mother Earth conference, and he was just sat down, and he showed us just a couple of barrels and how to make it, and it was really small. He set it up in a couple of hours as a demonstration, and it was amazing. And I thought, oh my gosh. And he talked about how much he was saving on wood and heat. And at that time, there was a gentleman who built one in Montana, and he was using 10 cords of wood a whole winter, and he went down to 1 cord of wood for the winter. So that to me was amazing. And I know in Alabama we don't get as cold as Montana for sure. But I wanted to be able to promote this heater here in Alabama. So we started this project probably last February to have a conference here on my farm and work on this build. And the conference didn't happen, which ended up being perfectly okay. There were 4 of us who did the build, but so the conference, the tickets to the conference were supposed to pay for Chris. Fortunately, I can afford to pay for Chris. I could afford to pay for him to come down here and show me how to do this. We easily could have done it on our own just by looking at some of the videos they've done in other places. But I wanted to do a conference, and I wanted him to be able to explain it and show it and teach us how to build it. And there were 4 of us who did it. He was one person. 2 of us were 65-year-old women, and the fourth one was a 32-year-old young guy who came. He's in some of our videos. Who wanted to learn to do it himself so he could do it in his own place. We had a couple of guests who came as well to the build that day to see what was going on. And so it was a whole lot of fun. But the why is also because we're getting older. I'm getting older, and I wanted to be able to not have to have Tim, my husband, cut lots of wood, worry about, we do have a propane heater, but this is a way to economically really reduce the cost of heat as we get older. It's essentially free here on my property. So we want to talk about the cost of fuel. I have wood everywhere, so I basically can get my wood for free, but I also want to reduce the labor as we get, when we're 70 or 80. It's a lot harder to chop wood. It'll be good for us to do it, but to do lots and lots of it would not be quite as easy as we get older. Or if we can't do it, we want to have sources of fuel. So another couple of things I found out since I built this, I was telling some of my patients about it because I was excited about the build, and we've been on Facebook and a few places. So I had a gentleman come in who works at a pallet place who builds pallets and crates, and they throw wood away that's in their dumpster, and they pay $120 a month for them to come pick up this wood, and lots of people come and pull wood out of it, and you can get it for free. So that's some of the wood that you could use in this. Another gentleman came in who does flooring. And he has oak wood flooring, and he has all these ends and pieces that he cuts off, and he has to take them to a dumpster as well to get rid of them. And I said, oh, wow, can you bring them to me? And he said, absolutely. So he's going to start bringing me some of this wood. And so we're going to I want people to know that there are sources of free wood. He's not the only person who does flooring. So you literally can get free wood if you don't have a farm like we do and woods like I have. So the cost of fuel can be very, very low. And not everybody can get free wood, but anybody who wants to build something like this could. And the cost of the heater wasn't cheap because we had to pay for Chris, but I wanted people to know the general ballpark figure and where most of the cost came. So basically these barrels, I didn't have to pay for these barrels, but I think they were $20 a piece. So we have 2 of them. And the clay we got a big truckload. Somebody else bought the truckload and gave me the amount that's right here just as a gift. But it probably, I don't remember what the truckload would have been. It might have been $150. But I only got 1 square yard of it, and it was way larger than that. So the clay wasn't expensive. The clay and the sand, so we did use 20 bags of sand. So all this, we used 20 bags of sand, and then we also used some straw. Straw was negligible in the cost. The main cost of all this was in the pipe. So the pipe is expensive, and your pipe going out, any kind of wood heater, your pipe is going to be expensive. So that was the major cost. And I think total for everything we did here, including the bricks underneath, the tin on the walls, it's not tin, it's actually metal, sheet metal, corrugated sheet metal, and all the pipes and all the supplies was around, and I think we had to buy a little bit of tools. We had to buy a couple of tools that were like $150. I think we had to buy something to cut the bricks with that we'll be able to use again later, and so forth. So I think it ended up being around $2,000. So if you think about $2,000 and you can do all the work yourself, then that's not too bad, especially for a house and a way to have heat, very efficiently over many, many years. So that to me was exciting. Now we did pay more than that because of Chris coming down here. We did pay for his knowledge and his ability to frame this up and help us do it correctly and over a 4-day period. And Chris was about $3,000 for all the planning and all the things that we did. So that's $5,000 total for this heater. Now, even in a house, if you're doing a build, that's actually fairly cheap if you consider a heat pump. Because a heat pump, now that does heating and cooling, but a heat pump or any kind of heating system can easily be $5,000 or more. So, so economically, it's not, horrible. Now, always when you go back and retrofit something, it always costs a little bit more. So I wanted people to know that's general ballpark. It's not exact. We do have our price list and things like that we may post on our page at some point in the future, so you know exactly what it cost, at least this month, this year in 2025. So I just wanted to talk about those different topics as far as the whys and the cost of the heater and the cost of the fuel. So the actual build took about 4 days. Chris came on Tuesday night. We started Wednesday morning, and it was really laid back, and he was super patient. There were us 2 ladies on Wednesday who were 65, and that's all he had, the 3 of us. And so, he showed us, he explained things as we went. He got us to do the work. He showed us, and then we would do whatever he recommended to get the work done. We had to prepare ahead of time to lay bricks, figure out dimensions and all that. And he had that knowledge, we didn't. The great part about it was we never really got in a hurry. So the first things we basically did were we had to set the flue pipe. We had to set where it was going to go outside the house and then how high it needed to go once it was out of the house. So that's, and then we put this corrugated metal in because this is about 1.5 inches away from the wall. And that when I've put my hand on these pieces of metal, they're not hot at all, even though this thing is really, really hot. and it helps that air goes around that wall and keeps it very insulated away from heating this wall and causing any issues. There's also a corrugated piece of metal on the bottom underneath, and that's basically holding this in place. So there's 3 sheets of that. So we cut that. We did some things on that first day. The second day, which was Thursday, that's when we had our 4th person come, and he's 32 years old, and that was Ben. And he's in those videos because he wants to build one in the future. So he came Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So then we were actually able to start doing the cob. What we did was we took the clay, put it in tubs, and put water in it on the first day. No, the second day, or one of the days. I can't remember exactly. So we let the clay get wet because it was all dry. And so we let it get wet. We let that sit, and then we prepared other things. So it literally, it was just fun because it was slow and easy going, and Chris was so patient when we didn't know how to use tools. I was trying to cut a hole in the wall here, and I was struggling with the tools, so he found another tool, and we figured out what worked and what my hands could do. I do have a little rheumatoid arthritis, so my fingers are not strong, and so, I mean, I couldn't believe how patient he was with me. I was like, oh my gosh. And if we goofed up a little bit and it didn't get straight, he would tell us, oh, don't worry, it's not going to show anyway, and it doesn't, and it looks great. So he knew that we were going to be fine if we didn't do it exactly, as it needed to be done. As far as, exact, with our cutting, and, if we were crooked a little bit or whatever. So it was really empowering to learn how to use tools through these 4 days. And it was just neat that nobody got in a hurry. Nobody was in a hurry. He seemed to know that we'd be able to get this build done easily in 4 days. And he has done it quicker. And you can do it quicker, especially if you have people that know what they're doing. But, it was fun being together in a community that, even though it was small, there were just 3 or 4 of us. We had people join us on Saturday, which was a lot of fun. So, and he said, you're the one who needs to tell him how this heater works, and he wants you to be hands-on so you understand everything about how this heater works. So it was overwhelming to me when I kept thinking about building it, but when we actually did it, it was like easy. I was in shock about how easy it was. So, and the concepts were easy. It was like, oh my gosh, this all makes sense. So that was just really, really fun. And then the Saturday, all this clay is really wet, but we light the heater. We want to make sure it draws properly. We might have, I don't remember if we did it on Saturday or Sunday, but we did it basically as soon as we were basically finished with the heater. We didn't have the framing pulled out until Sunday because this was still pretty wet. And you don't want the clay to go, and push out. And it did a little bit here. And that's why we have this little block in the floor, because we pushed some of this back as it was drying. And this was not here. It was a big lump. And you'll be able to see in some of our videos what it actually looked like. It wasn't as smooth. It's still not super smooth. And we have a little piece of grass growing out of it right here. You might not be able to see it on the camera. And there's another little tiny piece right there. But those are from the straw. It must have had a little seed in it, which I think is funny. But anyway, so the other question people would want to know is, how does this do in a tiny house? How well does it heat? So we tried it out. This past week we had 23 degrees, which is really uncommon for November in Alabama. And then one day we had 27, and then we had 23, and it didn't get really warm during the first day when it was 27. I think it only got up to about 40 degrees outside. So we lit the heater both days. I'm able to light it within 5 or 10 minutes. I got up, lit the heater. It doesn't take much longer than getting my propane heater on. And it's fun. So Chris taught me how to do it, and it's not exactly like a regular wood heater. So I put my wood in, and I have some what do you call the wood? It's like sapwood. To help light the heater. It's got turpentine in it. And it comes, you can go find it in the woods. But anyway, I put one of those in, put my little, my wood in, and it's lit in literally about 5 or 10 minutes. And I looked at the temperature. It was 51 degrees in the house because I had no heat on. I had no propane. I had nothing going all night. So it was 27 outside and it was about 51 inside. In 1 hour, it was up to 61 degrees. And I was like so excited because my propane heater doesn't do that well. So I just kept stuffing it with wood and it warms up this bench. Now, the bench was still wet last week. It was still fairly wet. I could sit on it and I would get wet on my pants, a little bit damp. So, and today it's a lot drier. It's getting lighter and lighter in color. You can tell it's a really tan color now. And it was a darker orange last week. So every time we light it, it helps dry it more and more. And this will get completely dry all the way through. And once it does, it'll hold the heat better. It'll heat up quicker and it'll hold the heat better. But it literally, these barrels were super hot and they warmed this whole house. And I do have a ceiling fan to help bring it down out of the loft. And it really warmed up this whole room in no time. So, and we did it again the next morning. Both days I had an appointment and I had to leave, so I couldn't. Tim helped stuff the heater with wood through every 30 minutes or to an hour throughout the day. In the future, someday, because we get really warm in the day in Alabama, like tomorrow it's going to be in the 30s again. I'll light the heater in the morning, warm up the house. I do have another appointment I have to go to, but it's okay if the heater goes out because as the day goes on, we have big windows and the sun will come in and heat up the house. It is better if you're here to keep it going because you just keep putting wood in it about every 30 minutes or so. I haven't learned the largest wood I can put in it yet. So that's going to take me a little time to be able to figure out exactly how much wood it's going to take me, how to keep it warm and not too warm, and if this bench will keep my house warm most of the night if I've warmed it the day before all day long. So those types of things, that's kind of what the heater does in some of these other houses, like in Montana and so forth. When you're using wood heat, no matter what kind of wood heat, you always have to stoke the fire. So anyway, so those are the things I still have to learn, but I'm super excited about our wood heater. And we hope that if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. We'll try to answer them. If we can't answer them, we'll find tell you where you can go get the answer. So we are going to do a quick video on lighting the heater and showing you how easy it is and showing you the wood as we do it.